Hey guys, welcome back to Joey the Farm Dog. As you can see, I've got a couple other YouTubers in the background there, and I thought it'd be fun today to go over some reasons why these YouTubers are just a little bit different than the ones you're usually used to. So let's get started. Oh, you're gonna come back. Okay, all right. And Chrissy does not. She does not. Years old. Well, Janet and Chrissy are 4.5 years old, and she has not changed. She wants nothing to do with me. The sheep will come out. They don't shelter like the goats. They will sit out here, and she will literally have a chunk of ice like frozen over the top of her. And, oh, there you go, Dan. This is what we call cribbing. You're not supposed to do that, Dan. Probably the first and most distinctive difference between these two, there's actually three, but they're being kind of weird with my little setup out here, so they're kind of shy. The biggest difference is these are hair sheep. So I've got Janet right there. There's Chrissy and Danny. Janet and Chrissy are both Katahdin, and Danny is a black belly Barbados. As you can see, that's Danny right there. So he's got the black belly on him. He's actually a beautiful, beautiful. He's a wether. I call him Dan the Half Man. I've got a goat trying to get my gloves out of my pocket back here. You guys would not believe what's going on around me right now. There are primary differences between them and wool sheep. Probably the biggest one is their type of hair. So most wool sheep are raised for their textile, for wool, for fabric. Hair sheep are mostly raised for meat. These guys here have pet privileges, but I can tell you that the meat is really good. I have some friends across the way that do homestead with their Katahdins, and it's really good meat. Wool sheep can be eaten, they are eaten, but there's a little bit difference in the meat quality, and it's mostly because wool sheep have more lanolin. Oh, I have a goat that just ate my paper. Oh yeah, the difference between wool and hair sheep is they have less lanolin, so it doesn't make their meat as gamey as what you're typically used to with a wool sheep, the meat off of them. And because of this lanolin and the different type of coat that they wear, that brings us to the second thing that makes them different, is they are going to be typically more heat tolerant than they are cold tolerant. Wool sheep are going to be more cold tolerant because they have that waxy kind of finish over their wool, which just helps insulate and keep the heat in, and it doesn't escape through their wool. Hair sheep, they have just, my goats are really being bad right now. Hair sheep are, they kind of sweat and it evaporates through their hair a little bit easier. It allows them to cool easier than a wool sheep would. And then vice versa, in the cold, they aren't able to retain the heat on their coat as easily as a wool sheep does. The other thing about a hair sheep is wool sheeps have to be sheared, and these guys don't. They will actually start to, like a chicken, molt in the springtime. Danny's is more like you would see, I don't want to say a dog, but I mean it literally, you can see strands of hair. So his comes out, it sheds like a dog when they do start to shed. Chrissy's kind of rubs off in chunks, and Janet, I actually suspect, probably isn't 100% hair sheep because she doesn't really shed all the way like she should. Last year I actually got a hold of her. I just followed her out in the pasture with big shears, and I just cut away. This last summer, she was not having it. So we did not get to do a beautiful haircut on her. And I'm actually probably gonna arrange for her to be sheared next spring, just so we can start from scratch. But typically it's really neat. The hair falls off, and by summertime, they are down to where, not as skin showing like wool. Oh my God. So number three, they have their tails. You can see her tail right there. It's like a little beaver paddle. Come here, please. Thank you for being rude. Most of the time you will see sheep and they don't have their tails have been what they call docked when they're young. And the reason for that docking is because of the wool. So you can imagine the back end and all the challenges it would face throughout a season until they get sheared again. And when they shear them, it's just a lot easier and cleaner to do. Since hair sheep shed, we don't have to worry about the tail getting all crusty and nasty because the hair will just fall off of it. Another big difference with between wool and hair sheep, their maturity is a lot sooner than a wool sheep. So a hair sheep is mature by 4 to 5 months old. Typically a wool sheep is 6 to 8 months old. They are able to start reproducing faster, which, you know, they are for meat, so you would want that. And more specifically, the ewes actually will ovulate throughout the year as opposed to wool sheep that go into a season, you know, once a year. It might be once or twice. I think it's once. So they are able to reproduce throughout the year. Their gestation period is 5 months, so it's not like you'd have a, you know, sheep every month, but you could possibly have a ewe that lambed twice a year. And the last thing that makes them different than wool sheep, if you are trying to take care of and manage sheep, parasites are always, it can be an issue with any livestock. And what's cool about these guys, they're all from warmer climates. So in warmer climates, typically you're going to get a heavier parasitic load than you would in colder climates, just because it's kind of a perfect environment for those parasites to live. So over time, they have become almost immune to parasites. And so you're less likely to run into parasite issues, worms, that kind of thing, with hair sheep than you are wool sheep. I'm not sure how all this material is going to come together right now, but I hope you guys got something out of this today. That is the difference between wool sheep and hair sheep. Thanks for watching, you guys. Take care. All right, see you guys. Thanks for helping out.